Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Insurance COVID Cast, brought to you by Insurance Post and Insurance Age with me, Jonathan Swift. And today we have the latest in our series linked with the Insurtech 100, which Insurance Post has put together with Sonar. And today the topic we'll be looking at is wheels, and that's wheels in the broadest sense, which we will come to. I'm delighted to say, joining me for today's conversation, we have by miles Head of Brand, Communication and Product, Oliver Baxter, Cuvva Marketing Director Loren Gould, Laka Vice President Marketing Kelly Barnes, and Inshur CEO Dan Bratshpis. Welcome all.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey guys.
Thanks for having us.
So I suppose the first question I really kind of need to get to really is about what you've been doing, what you've been up to for the last year, and what have been the major developments. So I'll start with you, Loren. What's been going on Cuvva? What would you say the most significant developments have been in your business over the last 12 months?
Well, last 12 months. Let's talk about the last 7 weeks. I mean, that seems like an eternity ago. Well, I mean, I guess there was a time when people were allowed to go out and go to the office and do stuff. And during that time, we've raised our Series A, did a £15 million raise, which is very nice. We've built up the team and continuing to invest and build our long-term motor product, which should be launching in the coming weeks, which we're all very excited about. And that's basically, we do short-term car insurance at the moment, and this is our product to compete with annual motor. And it's basically designed to be couldn't pick a better time to launch it, but basically a much more flexible, long-term motor contracts. So you're not tied into these yearly premiums in case, so let's say if someone were to stop driving entirely for a long period of time, this product would come in very handy.
Yeah, to say, I mean, I won't name our insurance company, but my wife has asked me about why do we have an annual insurance policy? So there you go. It's kind of, that's seeping into my wife's consciousness. It must be, getting out there to a broader people. Which I suppose leads me on to you, Oliver. What's been going on with you guys at by miles?
Well, yeah, we just closed our Series B funding round. We just copied Cuvva with the amount and went for 15 million as well. So that's probably the biggest impact that was announced last week or the week before. But yeah, lockdown has been interesting. As a business, we've sort of migrated to remote working relatively seamlessly. In fact, our workforce has increased by 30% since lockdown began. So there's quite a few people that have started that we're looking forward to meeting for the first time face-to-face when the office actually opens. I mean, other than that, we've been continuing to focus on building out our connected car insurance product. So last year, we launched the connected policy that takes mileage directly without any need for a device or apps, just from Tesla Motors. So we're building out more compatibility with that, and then we also got our open banking license at the beginning of this year. So we've been sort of further increasing that, the investigation into that, so that we can hopefully launch some new kinds of policies and new sort of validations to support more vulnerable customers.
Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, from a Laka perspective, it's been very exciting. Yeah, kind of Q1, we did our 3.6 million round. So that was led by Crandom and Local Globe. We also brought on a really kind of high-profile board member. So in the insurance world, you'll kind of know Amanda Blanc, so ex-Zurich CEO, EMA. Obviously, that's kind of with the aim of driving our global ambitions. So again, hugely exciting. I think more generally, Laka's been growing into very much a leading player in our industry. So, moving from talking to those early adopters to essentially talking to Europe and really kind of moving our marketing budget and strategy to allow us to do that. Obviously, kind of pre-COVID and then coming out of COVID. We've grown as a company. We've taken on a number of key hires aimed at improving our customer service internally, increasing our product range, and basically really kind of building our growth. And that's kind of meant that we've moved to our kind of larger offices in London. So that's our HQ. We've also got a bigger office in our tech base in Bristol. and very recently opened what will be our European HQ office in Amsterdam. So, I mean, all that's kind of looking back, and then looking forward, we will be kind of rebranding Laka, and I've been leading that rebrand initiative throughout COVID, which, as you can imagine, has its challenges.
Let's come to that again in a bit. Finally, we'll come to Dan in New York, and what's been going on with Inshur.
Yeah, so I would say over the past year, we've just been growing and scaling the business. So when we started beginning of last year, we were less than a dozen people. We're now a little bit under 70. We have been growing our UK book of business, so we're a bit unique in that we're sort of cross-Atlantic. So we have a New York book of business. So we build smarter insurance for the new mobility era. So we plug into platforms such as Uber, and we take in that data to price and underwrite the policies for the drivers. So last year, we've been rolling out the initiative in the UK market, working quite closely with the likes of Uber to expand our market share, growing the team, and generally scaling the business. Flexibility and short-term policies has been sort of an area that we focus quite a bit on, and launching those types of flexible policies for the driver has been a big focus for us.
Can I ask that? I mean, obviously, this word of, I suppose, it's Insurtechs are kind of have this kind of reputation, this image of trying to shake up traditional insurance processes and how insurance is sold. Can I just ask, what business do you think you're doing, as pithy as you can be, and how accommodating have you found the insurance sector to come to the new ideas that you're trying to get out there?
Well, I think the customers have certainly been receptive. I think we've attempted to work with traditional insurance companies in the past, and we found that to be problematic. I think but I do think the world is sort of coming around to Insurtechs in general. So I think there's lots of innovation happening around usage-based policies, flexibility, connected car type stuff. So I think that the insurance industry is coming around to it. The customers have certainly been receptive to it. I probably can't say the same thing about regulation. So the regulations, I would say, still lack what's probably needed, more so probably in the US than in the UK, actually.
Loren?
Yeah, so I think that probably when I've been at Cuvva for 4 years, and Cuvva was I guess one of the early pioneers in the space, and I've definitely noticed like a dramatic difference between just the overall consumer perception and the perception amongst insurers, where they take it much more seriously now. They're much more forward thinking, and they're just much more progressive. And I think that the customers are just a lot less tolerant these days. I think there was previously you would just kind of put up with it because the insurance sucks, and that's just, you kind of just have to grit your teeth and get through it. Whereas now, especially with like the FCA mandated refunds that insurers had to give, motor insurers had to give consumers in the UK, that's definitely that wouldn't have happened 4 years ago. And you see in an industry which is incredibly archaic and just generally backward looking, you see the incumbents now waking up and beginning to realize that you do have challengers like us and other Insurtechs coming on board, and that they need to innovate and adapt. And either they choose to do that themselves, internally, or they choose to, go out and do partnerships. So it's definitely, and that change has been really dramatic. I think the sad thing is that there's just like so much more that needs to be done within the industry. Like you have a Viva Plus, and that is a great product, but the marketing around it is basically around how people don't want to be tied into long-term contracts. They don't want to be like overcharged if they're like a returning customer. Basically they don't want to be taken advantage of, and they're really proud that they've like sort of figured this out. Like, you know, it's like if we treat our customers better, they'll like us more. And it's just quite depressing that you know, insurance, a lot of the times there is like such a disconnect between the insurer and the customer that they kind of have to come to these sort of like, you know, relatively basic epiphanies to figure these things out, that, you know, customer service is actually a thing and it needs to be applied to their business practices. But overall, it is getting much better. And I think that, you know, we are it sounds like a little pious, but, you know, we just want to make the industry better, and we want to improve the customer experience. So and that is happening. We're very satisfied with that. And, you know, there's still a lot to be done, but everything is moving in the right direction.
Oliver.
I mean, I couldn't agree more with most of that. I mean, as you know, you've spoken personally to James, our CEO, who was along with Freddie campaigning for insurers to pass on those refunds, to pass on the benefits of reduced claims frequency during lockdown. But yeah, to echo Loren's thoughts, I think it's been kind of encouraging to see the tide starting to turn. I think potentially more traditional insurance companies are starting to realise that the behaviour that has sort of been expected of them up until this point is now not serving them so well. And yeah, you have Aviva Plus launching and things like that. I think we've been really fortunate to have worked with some very forward-thinking underwriters, because we do have to have underwriting capacity. Unless we decide to go out on our own, like Zego. And yeah, AXA sort of took a bit of a gamble. I think it was a very calculated gamble, but they supported us first, and then La Parisienne Assurances have come on board to underwrite our Tesla policy. So we've been very fortunate in that sense, but it certainly was a long slog initially. I've been with the company since mid-2017, before we even got our FCA regulation, and I think James and Callum, the founders, met pretty much every single underwriter out there at one point. But yeah, I think those conversations are getting easier. And yeah, again, to echo Loren's point, the more you can demonstrate, especially in times like these, you can demonstrate the proposition. Consumers understand it, the press understands it, the insurance industry understands it more than ever, and flexible policies are definitely here to stay.
Finally, I'll come to you, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of totally echo everything that's been said on the call. And I think from a consumer perspective, you know, as an insurance customer, it's really, really great and really positive to see that, you know, these new models, you know, like everyone on this call, it's really something that the industry needs, I think. You know, and if we're looking at what Laka is trying to achieve, it's very simple. It's about serving the customer better. You know, that's our kind of overarching objective, and that's what we want to do. We really want to you know, solve this kind of disconnect, this historic disconnect between customer. You know, we want to really cancel out that us and them, us and you kind of story, and that's key to what we want to achieve, really, by really building a kind of a community and a cohesive model around insurance, and kind of bringing that back to what insurance should be, essentially.
Can I ask Kelly, I mean, you've already touched upon this, a number of you, but how has Laka adapted during the kind of coronavirus, this whole pandemic that we've been locked down through?
I think, you know, the same as everyone on this call, we're kind of tech companies. We don't have those huge call centers. So in terms of transitioning, it was fairly simple. You know, I've worked for an insurer who has 100 call center agents on the phone with no laptops. So at Laka, we don't have that. We're all digital. So there was no real business interruption for us. And that's a kind of great benefit of being a tech company during COVID. You know, I mean, obviously we face the same challenges as every other business, you know, when, you know, in terms of new customer growth and acquisition. How do you change your marketing messages? Do you actually do any marketing at all? And you know, do you need to go back and start focusing on kind of product build? So we kind of face those kind of challenges. But obviously now, kind of coming out of COVID, we're very, very fortunate to be in a position where it's almost been positive for our growth, you know, with the cycling and the sports being encouraged by the government here. So, you know, we kind of made some good decisions on marketing to kind of take a step back and help our customers. So as a result of COVID, we actually built a pause functionality into our policy. And being a tech company, you know, it literally took us a week to do that. You know, if you had a larger insurance company that had a lot of legacy kind of systems, that could have taken a year. So I'd say that we actually came out of, or are coming out of COVID as a tech insurer pretty well, thankfully.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a lot of the same themes. I think for us, the focus has just been on our customers. Our customers have been hardest hit by the pandemic. So just, you know, thinking through and trying to serve their needs has been sort of our single focus. I think I'd echo, you know, on the remote working side of things, that was relatively straightforward. And we're actually quite surprised how productive we actually are working remotely. And so we're considering what does the future work look like for us. From a customer point of view, obviously being a digital company helps customers being able to service themselves through our platform. We've seen obviously a drop in claims, and so we've adjusted our short-term flexible policies to the decrease in exposure, so our rates have dropped. We've also extended different type of coverage to our drivers, so we've now started covering things like delivery type work, where a lot of the Uber drivers are now doing delivery and food delivery type work, and so we're providing coverage for that. And then in New York, there's been some executive orders that have come out in several states. So just, making sure that we're compliant in the products that we're offering. But yeah, I would say the biggest focus has been like just making sure our customers are okay during this challenging time.
Loren?
Yeah, so I mean, very similar to what's been said before. So being a digital business, we had pre-COVID, we had work from home Wednesdays, which we encourage people to do. So when we actually had to be forced to work from home, that was very, very seamless. And we actually, again, found out that people are probably more productive working from home. And people like me who thought I could never work from home have, it's been a wonderful opportunity for personal growth to realize that that can be done. And then it's just been about adapting our messaging and just understanding, how Cuvva can be used and what it can be used for. So obviously we're an app that's been, that is based on movement. And so initially we took a little bit of a hit, but basically we saw like a lot of our activity switch from, leisure customers to utility customers who are trying to, key workers trying to get to work. And then since lockdown has been easing, the government's messaging has been like incredibly helpful for our business, and the encouragement to stay away from public transport and all that has been very super helpful for us. But then also I think it's these are people that need to get from point A to point B. They don't need to have a car full time, and it's just like they're being forced to, much like I've been forced to discover that I can work from home. They're discovering new products, and new ways to adapting to this sort of like new world which we currently live in. And that they think about either they've been doing it from having an annual policy on something, or getting their mom or dad to call their insurer to get them on their annual policy, even though they don't really need it that much. And now they've discovered that actually you can do it quite quickly through us. So I think for us as a business, it will be this whole time has been like really informative in terms of it's really caused us to focus on understanding where what our true USP is, and also like we've long believed that flexibility is key in the insurance industry, and I think this is this whole crisis has really proven that this is it is absolutely necessary, and it's been really empowering for us to understand that this what we've been pushing for so long is we are on the right track, and we are making progress for it.
And finally, I come to you, Oliver.
I mean, no surprises. A lot of similar themes. But yeah, internally, I think navigating the fast growth of our own company has been interesting. We've learned a lot about remote interview process, remote onboarding, and yeah, I think we're just becoming much stronger at working remotely. We have been doing quite a lot of surveys internally to see how our employee base is feeling about working from home, whether they ever do want to go back to work in an office. And I think people are kind of split. But I think what this has demonstrated, the whole experience, is that actually some people work better in particular ways, and we can totally afford to let people express themselves in that way, and trust that they know what works best for them. From a customer basis, we've always been a very data-driven company, but actually we've had a lot of time to concentrate on, I guess, analyzing our data in a different way. Since lockdown began, we've started issuing a daily miles index to basically see the trends in mileage. It's something we had access to the data before, but we've just built a new panel in which to see that. And it's been really, really fascinating seeing the compliance with lockdown in the UK. Initially, all the driving just went straight off a cliff, and we've slowly seen people's confidence return as they go back to the road. But still, since the 23rd of March, we've seen a 58% decrease since lockdown. And then also using that data to make car ownership easier, which is our ultimate mission anyway. So people weren't really driving, so we were able to let them know, because we have an OBD device, our miles tracker that plugs in. We're able to detect warning messages from the car. We already have a tool called Car Medic, which allows you to find out what the lights on your dashboard mean. But now we were able to tell people, oh, right, you haven't driven for a few weeks. Your battery could use some attention, or your battery is just about to go flat, so that people could, they knew that if they needed their car for emergencies, they could start the car and make sure the battery was in good health. And just building those relationships, we had a new community manager start at the end of December. And I think her role has become even more important as coronavirus hit, because we do actually have a big community of people, and suddenly they've had loads of time to chat. So that's been something that's been really, really quite amazing, actually.
Obviously, looking ahead to the next 12 months, Oliver, what is on the to-do list for Buy Miles?
I mean, number one is dealing with the significantly increased demand for more flexible car insurance, and particularly pay-by-mile car insurance policies. We've seen some of our strongest sales weeks in the last few weeks, which, you know, you don't like to think that you're benefiting from something that's affecting so many people's lives negatively. But the way that we're seeing it is, we're getting messages from people saying, you know, this is just, from current members, this is saving me so much money. I'm so happy I joined this before the lockdown started. And people now who are saying, this is the difference between me being on the road and not. So so we'll just be continually expanding, particularly in our customer service and development teams, to make sure that we can support that growth and that demand. Other than that, we'll be building on the foundations that we've already set. We're planning on launching a new kind of policy pretty soon. And then we'll also be just building out more compatibility with the connected car product, our trackless policies, and then just continuing to work through all of the magical and mysterious world of open banking, to see what exactly we can launch for that.
Kelly, I think you preempted this answer a bit. Oh, Kelly, I think your microphone's off. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, as everyone knows, there's a kind of huge kind of spike in kind of cycling activity at the moment. And, you know, that's something that we're very much focusing on. It's a bit of a new market for us. You know, we started out focusing on that real enthusiast market. And now there's this huge kind of focus on urban mobility, e-mobility. And I think that's really great for us from not just a cycling and a business growth perspective, but from a environmental perspective, and getting people kind of commuting on their bikes. So it's really something great to be part of. So we'll be kind of focusing on that growth. We'll be providing a new and very exciting wellness themed product to kind of almost talk to those cyclists as well. We'll be launching in the Netherlands in the coming months, and yeah, a little thing called a rebrand going on, which I'm working on at the moment, which has been obviously challenging with the COVID restrictions. But yeah, a once in a lifetime opportunity almost.
Is that a rebrand or just a tweak of the logo?
It is a new look, Laka.
New look. Okay. Watch this space. Dan, what Inshur? What's on the to-do list for the next year?
Yeah, I think for us again, it's just supporting our customers. Managing growth sustainably. Supporting our customers through coverage for other types of verticals like delivery and courier type space. We're also looking to expand geographically. So we're looking into other states and other countries within Europe that we're looking to expand to, and just growing our market share on both sides of the Atlantic, and supporting our customers. That's really it.
And finally, I'll come to you, Loren. What's on the launch pad for Cuvva? I think you've already given us again an advanced kind of look into what might be kind of in the kind of short-term future, anyway.
Sure. Yeah. So it's launching our new long-term motor product. So basically, it's a monthly subscription fee-free product to make just annual contracts more flexible, because you don't need to have an annual contract to have a long-term insurance product. And then it's just launching that, scaling that, onboarding underwriters, becoming more price competitive for that product. And then on top of that, I think it's just encouraging the industry to treat customers fairly. Because I think kind of unfortunately, with the whole pandemic, you've kind of seen like the worst side where insurers really had their arm twisted. And I think for me, being an American, it's actually really quite depressing to see that you have the major insurers over there offering rebates well before happening over in the UK. And that's a country that doesn't believe in socialized healthcare. So I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. And yeah, so it's just launching the LTM product and continuing to push forward changes in the industry.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Dan, Kelly, Oliver, and Loren. I look forward to meeting you all again at some point, hopefully in the real world rather than on a Zoom screen. But again, thank you all very much. As I said at the start, this is part of a series linked to the Insurtech 100. If you'd obviously like to read that, then please check it out on Post online. And also, I have to remind you, if you want to subscribe or register for Insurance Age or Insurance Post, then please use the tab on the banner at the top. Until the next Insurance COVID cast, it's goodbye for me and stay safe, everybody. Cheerio.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.